interest rates are going to come down, which is great. I mean, that's good for buyers and sellers. We can buy with better interest rates, and sellers can, anticipate maybe a higher offer, but not if you're in a recession. That's.
All right. Welcome to Real Estate Hustlers Podcast. I'm your host, Josh Appleman, founder and CEO of Appleman Capital. Today we're joined with Lee Yoder. Lee is the founder of Threefold Real Estate Investing, transitioned from physical therapy to real estate, based in Cincinnati, Ohio with his family. Focuses on faith, family, and expanding opportunities in real estate. Lee, we're happy to have you here on the show today. If you could let the listeners know a little bit more about yourself.
Yeah, Josh, happy to be here, man. Thanks for having me. So started out as a physical therapist, was kind of climbing the corporate ladder at one point and just felt like I was, looking for something else, like kind of a different route. Didn't really see physical therapy being a long-term career. Then I was, I had a job where I was kind of climbing the corporate ladder and really enjoying that, but didn't seem like that was great for the family. So was just kind of, man, like what else is out there? I just feel like I'm not finding my niche or my calling here. And so I just started talking with other people, started networking. Ultimately, a guy from my church who was doing real estate full time, kind of met with him and really liked what he was doing and kind of the lifestyle he had, and then just the work that he was able to do. So I thought maybe I wanted to get into that. So I decided to go back to doing home health physical therapy, which I had been away from as I was kind of working that corporate job, but do real estate on the side. And so I left that corporate job, took a pretty big pay cut at the end of 2016, but just knew like, this is where I want to go. I want to give this a shot. I want to try real estate. And so in 2017, I was able to get a house to flip, did pretty well on that, but just saw that's not really investing. It's a way to make money in real estate, but it's not investing. So the next year we did a duplex. And we did kind of flip that as well. We didn't even hold that a year, but for a few months we had that rented out. And so we saw that proof of concept of where, man, every month the rent is more than all of our expenses, including the mortgage. So we're paying this asset off, this property off, plus we're making money every month. Like, let's just do more of this. But I didn't like managing that, Josh. And I just, the more I read and listened to, everybody was the guys and girls that I felt like I really identified with, because there's so many different ways to do it, but the ones that I felt like spoke to me were the ones that were going bigger, using the economies of scale, using third-party management and going bigger. So that's what I wanted to do. So in 2019, we got into a little bit bigger multifamily. We got a 16 unit, and then 8 unit, and then a 10 unit. And we had third-party management for those. And that was much better. Now I'm still working full-time as a physical therapist during this time, but really started getting into it. And man, by this time, Josh, I was just all in. I was ready to go all in on real estate. Didn't want to do physical therapy anymore. So fortunately, the market complied with my wishes and just took off. So those small multis that we own just kind of doubled or, close to it in about a year. And so I sold all of those at the end of 2020, beginning of 2021. Put all that in my savings. I had this big cushion, this war chest, this runway, and convinced my wife to, that I should jump all in and do real estate full time. So at the end of 2020, we did that. In 2021, then we just started doing a little bit bigger deals, more investors, started syndicating properties. So we got a few in 21 and then just got one in 22, kind of the beginning of 2022 before interest rates started spiking. And then it, got even more difficult to find good deals. Went 12 months without getting something. And then this past year, we just got 2. We did some seller finance deals, and we started managing our own stuff this past year. So had a lot going on this past year. We actually sold 2 as well. So we just have, we own 4 apartment buildings between Cincinnati and Dayton. We manage them all ourselves. It's 350 units. We bring in investors, and, we're value add. We try to turn these properties around, and we're looking to do a lot more of that.
Yeah. That's huge. That kind of, it definitely resonates on our end too. Same deal, value add, and just definitely looking to scale. So yeah. You go from flipping a house to starting to buy more multifamily. What happened there in order to enable you to buy more multifamily? Can you give the listeners, like, was it cushion that you had saved up? Were you bringing in other partners on the other deals, and just compounding from there?
Yeah, I'll say 3 things, Josh. The capital part, yes, we brought in partners. So we just did simple joint ventures on those. I think that's a great way to get started. So, real simple. I said, I found this deal. I think it's going to be a great deal, and I'm going to do all the work, basically. I mean, if you're doing a JV, technically everybody needs to be active.
Yeah.
And so my partner was active, but I did 99% of it. And so they come in, they bring the capital. I give them half the deal and I keep half the deal. So they get half for bringing the money. I get half for finding it, doing all the work. So we did that on all three of those. One of them, we had two partners begin. They split that 50% and I kept 50%. So real easy way to get started in multifamily when you want to buy bigger deals than what you have money for. So that's how we did that, was joint venture. The other things that allowed me to get into that though, Josh, because it's a big jump. It's a lot different going to commercial. Underwriting was huge. So I had to learn to underwrite. I joined the RIA in Cincinnati, the Real Estate Investors Association, and there was an apartment focus group in that RIA. And every once a month, the guy, Mark Hutton, that was leading that group was teaching us to underwrite. He had gone to a boot camp a couple of times, and he had bought some apartment buildings, a 25 unit, a 12 unit, a 40 unit, I think. And so he had been through it, and he was teaching me to underwrite. So that was another big step. You've got to learn to underwrite, because it's the only way to know if you're getting a good deal and how you're going to operate and things like that. So I learned to underwrite. And then that third piece for me to get started, you don't have to go this route, but partnering with third-party property management was big for me initially. I just said this last year, we've reached some scale and we've learned a lot. And I really wanted to bring property management in house, and we've done that, and I'm excited about that. I think it's a really good move for us. But early on, it did help me get into it by using third-party management, because, man, going from a duplex to a 16 unit just felt like a massive leap, and it was very daunting. But when we brought that third-party management company in, we realized, okay, they're managing 1,000 units. We're giving them another 16. That's 1.6% of their portfolio. It's nothing to them. So it's huge to me. It's nothing to them. It's good to have a partner like that, because it's like, for us, what are we going to do on day one? This is so intimidating. How are we going to manage 16 residents? And then they come in and go, yeah, we'll take care of all that. We're going to manage all this. And of course, are they going to do a good job? All those things I acknowledge, but man, to get started, it really helped us. So those three things, Josh, allowed us to go, from flipping and a duplex up to some decent, kind of small multifamily.
Yeah, and even kind of following what property management is doing, you can see their process, see how they manage things, see how they manage issues, their communication.
Right.
At least it gives you a foundation, a base to then compound off of down the road, like you
For
all
sure.
taking over your property management. I think full control and vertically integrated investment firm is everything.
Yes, I agree with that now. Yes.
I think that the next 24 months is going to be the years of the operator, as far as how effective we can be, as far as being able to not only purchase the properties, but operate it very well, and then take it on to 2027, 2028, where I feel like that's where another shift is coming. But it puts us in a different caliber, and you have to get there, though. You can't go from 0 to 100 managing your own properties.
Yeah.
It takes a lot of time, it takes patience, and just getting the experience. But once you have the foundational elements in play, you can certainly scale. Which you all are there. I mean, you're right there. What's the next 10 years look like for you all as far as growth?
Oh man. I don't know what God has in store for us. But I hope, Josh, I mean, just a whole bunch more of the same. I mean, as you start managing yourself, things kind of change, and we start to think about, like, using the economies of scale and using, like, your team. Now I just want to buy more property that's close to our other properties, so we can, share staff and do some of those things. And so we just want to buy more in Cincinnati and Dayton. Now I like the markets around us too. I love Columbus. I love Indianapolis. So we would, I think the next 10 years for sure, we're going to at least other markets like that, if not even further. But, in the next couple of years, we just want to, keep building our portfolio here. I would love to, we own 2 96 unit properties and a 95 and then a 64. And I would love to get over that 100 unit mark. I'd love to get up to 150. I think that, that's a really good size to have a full-time leasing girl in the office and a full-time maintenance guy. So we'd like to buy more like that. I mean, as you're managing yourself, you want to manage easier properties if you can. So I'd love to be like C+ to B-, if not up in B class. But, I'm really stingy on getting good deals. And sometimes it's harder to find, the value add opportunities and the good deals. in the B class
Yeah.
space versus C class space. But yeah, I think just more of that, Josh. Manage them really well. I agree with you. I've seen the material you're putting out, and I think you and I are really thinking about this year very similarly. We've been at some of the same meetups and stuff, and man, I think there's going to be a lot of opportunity, but it's going to be for really good operators. It's not going to be easy, and this is going to be a tough time. And I think people are going to struggle. And man, I think you and I are on the same page that like we're not anticipating rent growth. We're not seeing that.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
I don't know that that's going to happen. I mean, we're not even in a recession yet. And we've already seen things level out, and a bunch of the hotter markets are going negative. So, I mean, I can't imagine what it's going to look like when we finally hit this recession, which I still think is coming. So, yeah, we want to buckle down. It's been good for us, not purchasing much recently to really be able to focus on the property management and get that tightened up. And so we're going to continue to do that until, some deals break loose. And then I think we'll be ready to pounce because we'll have such good operations. Because like you said, Joe, I mean, that's how you make your money. Like you've got to operate well. Like, yes, buy low and sell high, but what happens in between? You've got to operate really well. So we're really focused on that.
That's the pickles and cheese. All those paper
Yeah.
cuts that can add up to tens of
Oh my
thousands every
gosh.
year. I mean, if you can just recapture some of those costs and just put it back into the property. But as far as rent growth, absolutely, there's a lot of supply coming online. I think
Yep.
that does affect, of course, your B and your A class. But I love the workforce housing, the C range. I love taking a D property and getting it to a B. But the workforce housing era, I feel like, is more of a protected niche than, of
Yeah.
course, your B and your A. When you've got brand new product coming online, that requires a certain rental rate, and
Absolutely.
and I feel like that genre is going to take a little bit of a hit here in the coming future. But if you can find a deal, buy. It's not about buying low; it's buying like where maybe in a good area, buying at a right basis, not based on performa, and being able to just do simple, common sense renovations. The
Right.
residents want to pull up to a nice looking property, landscaped, not looking like 1960 and then going into 2024. So make the outside look nice, renovate the corridors, last things to get renovated, and then your units make it nice for the
Yeah.
tenants to grow their family in. And if you can give those elements, then I feel like your property and your operations are going to be safe and secure for lease renewals as well.
Absolutely. Yeah. If you can be competitive at the rate, right? Like if you don't have to push, so far, I think that's where guys have gotten themselves in trouble, Josh, where they bought off a pro forma and now they're pushing so hard to hit that pro forma. And that pro forma was pretty unrealistic, especially now that things have leveled off. I mean, maybe they bought it a year ago when, it still looked like this up and to the right angle for rent growth. And then, I mean, but guys, like trees don't grow to the sky. It had to level off at some point, and now it has. And so they're pushing so hard to get to that pro forma number where, I don't know, for just a number, they're trying to get that 1,100 for that 2-bed in Cincinnati, and like just right where they're at, the market's kind of at 1,000, 1,050. And if you're pushing so hard to get that 1,100, that makes operations a lot tougher. So that's something we've learned, and frankly, with the third party management, that was part of what was frustrating for us, Josh, was they were always trying to get that 1,100, and we didn't really need to get it because we that wasn't our pro forma. But they're just so big on like push, 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 push. And hey, I love seeing someone move in at 1,100. It feels great, but when that person moves out and we're turning over the unit in under a year, it's like what are we doing? Maybe they actually can't afford 1,100, maybe, because they can move down the street for 1,000. Let's just bring it down to 1,000. Let's stay full. Let's just operate. So that's what I like so far. And I don't know what your experience has been, Josh, but the guys I've been, that are, maybe a couple steps ahead of you and I that are operating, thousands of units and have been doing it for a decade. Man, that's what I see them doing when they're managing in house. They're able to control their expenses, so they don't have to push so hard on rent. And then you're just much more competitive, and you can keep people. So that's again, like you talk about, if we're going to get into some tough times this year, I think you're going to want to be there, not try to be at the top of the market. You're just asking people to go find something else when you're doing that.
Yeah, and I don't think that we should be market makers right now. I think if you've got great tenants that are that prove to pay on time every month and
They're
they're
like
good.
gold, man. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, give them a nominal. You want to keep your cost in check and in line. Just we readjust our rubs quarterly to make sure that that cost. I mean, cost goes up and down, so you want to make that when you're getting renewals, make sure that it flexes the same as far
Mhm.
as utilities out, cost out the door, and just keep the balance. It's all about balance, cash in, cash out, and then what can the residents in that area truly pay for, and what are they
Yep.
willing to pay for? Um, the past 2 years, think that there's definitely been some hikes, but um, you know, it is. We'll see where it goes. I feel like that now it's more valuable to keep tenants, and especially for the
Yes,
next 24 months, we don't want to
man, I agree.
concentrate on keeping the units leased up. But
Yep.
what are you seeing in the Cincinnati, Dayton area as far as the future and even deal flow? So I know it's we're in a tough market, man, as far as deal flow in general.
Yeah, yeah, it's been slow, man. It's been really slow. I know end of the year is always slow, and even as you turn the year, it seems like it's slow. And then all the brokers want to wait till they go to NMHC, which
Yeah,
is at the end of the month, and they want to come back. So I've met and talked with some brokers, and they're all excited and optimistic, but they were last year at this time too. I don't know if that was your experience, but last year they were, oh man, it's going to be great. And then I mean, last year was a dud,
yeah,
just all over. But there were, I mean, we were down just like everybody else, just not many deals traded. We had, I can think of a handful of deals that came out and never traded. The seller just wouldn't come down. I think we're going to see a lot of the same. I do. I'm in the camp again. I've kind of already said it. I think we're headed for a recession. I think inflation is going to keep coming down because it's going to. I think we're going to have a recession, which is deflationary because people lose jobs. They stop spending. I think we're seeing the beginnings of that. So I do think interest rates are going to come down, which is great. I mean that's good for buyers and sellers. We can buy with better interest rates, and sellers can anticipate maybe a higher offer, but not if you're in a recession.
yeah,
That's not when people want to offer more. So I think it's going to take something to dislodge this. I've been hearing that sellers are now feeling like they don't have to give in at all. Whereas last year there was a big bid ask spread, but sometimes you find that seller that would say, you know what? I mean, interest rates are going up, and how much further are they going to go up? And they might say, man, we just got to cut it loose and sell. And now they're realizing, I mean, most people agree. I mean, the Fed has made it pretty clear. So I think most people are on board with rates are not going up. Now they might stay where they are for a
yeah,
long time. Who knows? But they're not going up. So sellers are feeling like that's off the table. Like we know where rates are, and they're feeling like they're probably going to come down. So they're thinking I can be stubborn here because 6 months from now rates might be lower and I can sell for even more. So that's not good as a buyer. That's not what I want to hear. So I still think it's going to be a tough market. But I think what we're going to find is, if we do get into some tough times, if we do get into a recession, that's going to hurt some operators. And there's going to be some people that sell because they feel like they have to, instead of just people selling because they want to. And that's what we're looking for. So I'm optimistic, but I still think we're just going to have to be patient. I do think this is the year that things shake loose, but maybe it's the second half of the year. I don't know. So that's what I think we're seeing in Cincinnati and Dayton. Again, there's not many deals out there right now. I've talked to some brokers. They want to wait until they go to NMHC, it seems like. So I think in February, we're going to find out, Josh. I think some deals are going to come out. The stuff I've seen, I just see stuff and I'm just shocked that they're still listing it that high. I saw
yeah.
a ugly 60s
We see the
deal
same
and a
one.
not good
Yeah,
part of Cincinnati the other day for
yeah,
100 a door. And I
yeah,
thought, wow, I mean, we're still doing this. I
yeah.
couldn't believe it. So I don't know, man. I'm still waiting. What are you seeing?
Well, I seen the same deal, and it looked like they only painted the exterior,
Yeah,
so you still have to drop 15 grand into each unit. They're trying
100%,
to get ultra premium price per unit. It's
100 a
just
door.
it's unbuyable, totally unbuyable. And anyone who does buy that would be an absolute fool. And
Yes,
there comes a point in time where the property starts to degrade. Not it's a part of it. You've got electrical, plumbing.
yes,
Those issues just go with the building, and going in with the knowing of that's going to happen. Your cost of operating is also going to go up, and that's
yes,
okay if you buy it right. If you buy it at,
right.
say, a 9 cap or a 10 cap, you're going to have a burn off that just goes out towards maintenance. You can't
Yep.
buy it at a steady Betty 6 cap and just expect that coupon to come
No.
in every month. And
Yeah,
that's
that's a
just
that's a B class 2000s deal. If you want to
exactly.
buy it 100 grand a unit
Yeah, yeah, and
like
those are
that. Yeah.
traps. Those are absolute traps that somebody, unfortunately, they get trapped into those deals, and then they can't get out of them, and people lose their shirts on them, and
Yep.
that's from inexperience and just just be more of maybe even FOMO, fear of missing
Yeah.
out and wanting
What I was
to
gonna say.
get out there and be a part of it. But that's why it's been extremely tough to purchase in the past few years, because we just can't find. We're buying businesses ultimately, and what is the business producing? It's a net operating income. Well,
Yep.
that's an X multiple. Whether it's a transacting business or it's
Yeah.
multifamily as a business. So what the financials tell you is what it can actually support and what the return is expected. So it's been but I feel like the next 24 months, where our deal flow has picked up in certain areas, not necessarily in our backyard, but we're willing to travel if the deal is right
Yeah.
and set up shop. And then ultimately, if the properties are able to have I'm not going to say third party property management on site, but property management on site, to where we can plug in. And
Hmm.
now we can control the property. We can plug in our operations, our expectations, the way we think good looks like, and keep all of the on-site staff in place. That is scalable. So scale as much as we can in the next 24 months, and then go back around. And now we're going to fine tune everything to another
Mm.
degree.
Yeah.
You can't just start from zero and keep buying offsite properties, because ultimately you have to flex on the back office. And when you're hiring new people in the back office, you have to hire 10 to get to. That's just the way it goes, and
Yep.
that's a tougher road ahead to scale. But if you can plug into a full operation on site, you can get there. It's achievable. At least it's less painful.
Yeah, I agree with you. Yeah, that's what I've always told. I've told brokers in other markets, like, if we're going to come to Indianapolis, like I would love to buy there, but I wouldn't do anything less than 100 units there, because
Yeah,
we're not there to operate it, right? And now if we can find a 40 unit close to my 100 unit, great, yeah, because that team can manage it. But yeah, when you go into different, you got to be able to put that a full team on site, because
yeah.
if you got people on site, man, you get some good people. They can manage that property.
Yeah, and they know the property, and they know the workflows. And the
Yep.
thing is to just kind of sell them on the vision, of what you're going to do to the property. Because ultimately, if we're coming in, it's a value add opportunity. That means
Hmm.
there's deferred maintenance. That means there's neglect. It means operations are struggling. So if we're going to come in and put in $3 or $4 or $5 million in a property, that's exciting. That gives a new light to the property.
Oh
So
yeah.
tell us a little bit about your property management company, what that entails, and how you guys how it's going for your first year out.
It's a little bit like you just said, Josh. We started because we were buying a 64 unit, and it just felt like that was a little bit small to bring in the third party property manager that we were working with. And, they even told us, like, I think we're going to be a little bit expensive on a property like this. And we said, well, we don't like to hear that, because you're expensive on a bigger property. So if you're
Yeah,
telling us you're going to be more expensive on the small one, that's not going to work. And there was a guy. It was actually, normally this never works out, so I would never advise somebody to do this. But the seller's brother lived at the property and was managing it. And so, when I normally see that, Josh, I'm like, that's not going to work. We're not
yeah,
doing that. But man, the more we dug in, we're like, this guy's doing a great job. He didn't do a lot of the marketing and stuff, but he had all the tenant interaction, and then he was doing all the maintenance calls and turning the units. And then he would bring in, like, even just other residents and stuff to paint, and just, I mean, he was doing so well. And when we're looking at his unit turns, we're like, this guy's doing a great job. So that was our start, was just, why, if this, I mean, the seller lives in Florida half the year. If he can manage it through his brother, why can't we do this? Why do we have to go out and pay somebody a whole bunch of money to manage this guy? He's doing it. He's doing it all. So that's how we started, was we just said, we're going to start a property management company. This is going to be our first employee, and we're going to lean on him. And he has been a godsend. He is awesome. We love this guy.
that's a rare
He's done
find.
such a great job. We brought on another person to help him out. And that's where we started. So then, the next property we got, kind of same way. It's like you said, Josh, when you go, like, we just kept the two people that were on that property, and they had the lady that was the property manager. She was there before this current owner. The current owner owned for a hot second and just dumped it to us. She was very frustrated with the current owner, and was, like you got to say, like, just very happy with us coming in and saying, this is what we're going to do with the property. We're going to bring it back to life. She was so excited about that vision. So she's been great. We kept the maintenance guy. He's good. And so then the other two we already owned, but we took back from the third party management. So we were able to keep some of their staff, actually just
Yeah,
one, and then just went and found others. And we're just finding local people. I'll tell you that the best employees that we've found, Josh, are in their 50s. Some of them are even
yeah,
in their 60s. And we love it, man. I mean, just to get in the nuts and bolts a little bit, like, they're just low drama. They show up to work. A lot of times they don't even want full time, which on some of these a little bit smaller properties works really well. So we got a couple of them that they want 30 hours a week or 25 hours a week. And it doesn't take 40 hours a week to manage a 64 unit or a 95 unit even. It would take 40 to manage 150. And that's why I said, like, that's what I want to get to. I want to start buying 150 units at a time. And then you need full-time people there. But not on a 95, and not, especially not on some of these where we're like the two that we took back, we've owned for a couple of years. So we're kind of done with the big push. Now we're just operating. We're just, hey, the general turn of residents leaving, new ones coming in. There's not that much. We're not doing a ton of renovations now. So 30 hours a week is fine. So we've found some great employees like that. We hit a home run on our one property in Cincinnati where it's a husband and wife that live in that town. They live 7 minutes from the property. They both want 30 hours a week. They work together. They have a ton of experience, and they're affordable. So yeah, we just kind of build it out like that. It's really fun when it goes well and you get good people and they do a good job. It's really fun, but it's a lot. I mean, it was a lot of work to get it going. I mean, just the back end, figuring out the software and the accounting and stuff like that. It's so much work, but we're kind of past that and it's going well now.
Yeah, and the big thing is it's different. So if you're going in and you're implementing the renovations, the crews, the materials, and you're having property management get in front of you with new vacancies and kind of prepping it up, that's one thing. But when you're doing the whole everything, it is different. Once you learn it, though, once you learn what their business is all about, and you uncomplicate what they make complicated, it gets to be a even better business because now you're able to really push customer service. I mean, your tenants, your residents are your customers. And what we always thought was complicated and this and that, it's not. We prefer not to hire anybody who's actually been in property management, because there's a lot of the times that the way that they've been programmed or mentored or brought up, maybe just not answering the phone or not answering service requests or just doing the basic common sense customer communications, just a simple thing. So if you get somebody who's already in customer service, whether they're a hostess or a CSA, just they're now it's just putting them into process and getting them into the groove. So it can become very fruitful once you get everything in motion and ultimately get your residents pick up on it. And if, like you said, we have a few that have lived on site, like maintenance, especially, if they're living on site, it's like, how do we plug them in? Let's figure this out, because they know what the property's about. They know how it lives and breathes, because the plumbing, there's always going to be things that happen. If you've got an on-site maintenance guy that's already there, I mean, the thing won't run smooth. It should.
Yeah. And being on call is much easier for them. When somebody calls, it's like, all right, I just got to walk down there and do it, versus, they got to drive 25 minutes to the property. They're just kind of used to that. So yeah, you can find some really good fits that way.
So what's your strategy? Is it buy and hold forever, buy and sell? What are you all wanting to do?
Well, man, it's a good question. Before we started property management, I would say buy and hold, but to be honest with you, that's not what I've done. I've only held a couple properties past 2 years. So we've really turned a lot of, but I mean, in my defense, the market, just been going crazy. So we just kind of took advantage of some opportunities, and I believe in the velocity of money, and turning it over. So we've just had some of those opportunities, but starting our own property management kind of changes the game, because, now we've got employees that depend on that property, and it's operating much better. And it, I want to build a portfolio, and if we're selling, we're going in the wrong direction. So, I kind of want to just keep holding. And I think there's real magic in refinancing, getting investor capital out and keeping the deal. Our investors stay in when we do that. And if we can get all your capital back, now you have an infinite return, you recycle that money and go get another deal. So I think that's the best case scenario, is that you refinance, get all the investor capital out, hang on to it, and just keep going more. So I would love to do that. If things play out the way I think they're going to, I think we're gonna have a great opportunity to refinance in the next year, maybe two, but because I think interest rates are going to come down, we're going to be in a tough time, but that's a great time to refinance, of course. So yeah, I would love to hold. There's always a number that might make a lot of sense to sell, and get those returns and just roll into the next one. You can make you can make some big money by trading. But long term, yeah, I would love to start actually building a portfolio, which means, just refinancing and holding.
Yeah, yeah, and selling it creates a whole another problem, because now the problem is we've got cash, but we need to find another deal,
Yep.
and finding the deal is the hardest part.
Yes.
And refinance, we're in the middle of a refinance right now for Freddie, and interest rates like 6.4, interest only 3 years, 10-year term.
Mhm.
It's not bad. I mean,
No.
it's just cash flow is great. We're getting interest only, and the term's good. It's we're going to do very well on that property, because I mean we added a tremendous amount of value. But and that goes back to, don't wait to buy, just start to buy real
Yes.
estate, just anytime in any
Yep.
market, for sure. And then, like you said, your employees are counting on the properties, and I think there's something wholesome to having a large portfolio. Just yeah, it feels good giving that community, and having some control.
Yeah.
Um, Very cool. Lee, if somebody wants to get a hold of you, learn more about you and your company, how can they reach out?
Yeah, you can find me on LinkedIn and Facebook, but just jump on our website. It's threefold rei.com. So it's THREE, like the number three, FOLD, like fold a piece of paper. REI is in real estate investing.com. We've got a bunch of stuff there, educational stuff, ways to reach out to us, all that stuff. So just jump on our website.
Very cool. Absolutely. Look forward to following you. And of course, joining the monthly meetups. Those are very
Yeah.
valuable, just getting all the energy in a room. So
Yeah.
definitely appreciate
Love
you
having
coming
you.
on today. Yeah, absolutely. So
Yep.
we'll
Thanks, Josh.
certainly talk soon. Thank you.
Absolutely.